Now we're live. I thought we were live, people, before, but we are live. We're 5 minutes early. Look at us being early. So we are so excited to have Dr. Cynthia Dempsey with us. Some call her an apostle. Some call her a minister of movement. Some call her friend, sister, mama, may I, wifey, girlfriend. She is all things above, but for our purposes today, she is attorney Cynthia Dempsey, KCIP Protections, and we'll get more into that. But we just want you guys to be invited in. As we are live on LinkedIn today, we're live on my page, and we're live on YouTube. So please subscribe to the page so you never miss out on any good information. And this year, just so if you missed our in January when me and Khalid was on, and we talked about our word for the year. So I have a word for the year. I think I shared it with you, Dr. Dempsey, which is momentum. That is my word for this year. Momentum. Keeping things moving. Forward. Positive. Small steps. Big steps. Little steps. You know, sometimes get out of step. Get back in step. Realign. But keep it moving forward. So that is my focus this year. And with this platform, now you guys have heard the story. I didn't intentionally want a platform. This wasn't anything I intended. This was suggested to me by a reader of His Bride's His bride, I am his and he is mine. And she suggested that we do this online. And I was like, do what? What do you mean? Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to listen to anybody? And so that's how we started. But God is continuing gracing us with different things to do and to say that he wants in the earth realm. And so we're still having intimate conversations about lots of subject matter, and some of these things I'm very passionate about, and today is one of those things. In March it'll be another thing, and I'll make that announcement a little bit later. But if you've been watching my page, I've been posting it and hinting at it. But we're going to be partnering with some other people to come on the platform and talk about some other subject, and we're really going to have some nitty-gritty conversations about subject matter that is plaguing our Black community, but also plaguing communities as a whole, that need to be discussed. And so that's where I am with this platform. Or as I told my husband and I told someone else today, when God stops giving me ideas for this platform, when God's like, that's a wrap, then that'll be a wrap, and we'll move on to the next thing that he has for me. So don't plan on doing this forever, but we shall see. If you hear them big stumping coming up the stairs, that's Lady Zoe. She coming up the stairs on me. So anywho, so for tonight's conversation, we are talking about, drum roll, protecting those creative rivers that God is giving you, those creative things that God has spoken to you that maybe you are scared to implement, maybe you want to implement and skittish about how to do, what should be your first step. You know, that's what we're going to talk about. And I have known well, I'll call her Apostle Dempsey, but Attorney Dempsey, I've known her for a long time, well over 10-15 years now. And you know how you know somebody and what they do, and they tell you, and you know, as attorneys, we're like, oh, you do that, oh, that's your specialty, oh, that's your specialty, and we talked about it, but it never, 1 + 1 didn't equal 2 in my head until I was looking for a trademark lawyer to help me trademark this mark right up here that you see in the corner. That's Yahweh Beauty's trademark, and it has been my logo since 2007. That has been my logo. And honestly, I let the logo go because at the time that I had trademarked, it was real good for 10 years, right? Cynthia, it's good for 10 years. And then when the 10-year mark came and I needed to commit it, I didn't have the funds. I just didn't have the money. And I was like, wow, but I don't think anybody will take it. So I'll just let it go. Wrong move. Wrong thought. But that's what I did. But the blessing of the Lord, nobody took it. Nobody bothered it. And I was able to get it back. So it's re-trademarked now. Thanks to attorney Cynthia Dempsey, it's re-trademarked. So don't think about using it. It's federally trademarked. And it is in the works to be trademarked on all spears. That's in the works, so don't think about it. We're in the final stages of that. And then I'm going to trademark my other things as well. Why? You spend the coin early in the process, in your beginnings, so that when God blesses you with more, that small stuff you ain't got to think about. You don't have to think about trademarking your logo after you, in Jamie Foxx's way of saying, voluptuate, right? He used to say that, I'm going to voluptuate. Whatever that means to you, however your understanding is, you want to protect what God births through you. And that is so, so important. So we're going to be talking about that. But how did we get to trademarks and all that, Kina? And we were talking about relationships. Well, you're going to be a very unhappy bride if somebody takes your stuff and does something grand with it and you have no legal recourse. That is going to make you a very unhappy person. Let me tell you, it will. Just don't doubt, it will. If you hear your song on the radio, hear your chords in somebody else's music, see your outfit on somebody else's body, see your combination of colors and imagery on somebody else's t-shirt, and they're selling thousands of t-shirts and you have no recourse. That is going to make you a very unhappy bride. Let me tell you. And I've talked to lots of people who all these things have happened to, and that is a sinking feeling that you don't have any legal recourse. Like none. When I say none, none. Because why? You didn't protect your gift. You didn't protect the stream that God gave you. You didn't protect that talent that God gave you. You didn't protect it. And so we're going to talk about that. So what brought this to head was the whole Balenciaga. Let me breathe. Designers on Balenciaga's level do not have to steal. They have in-house creators and creatives. They don't have to steal anything. But they stole this gentleman's $25 t-shirt idea that he was selling as a fundraiser. They stole it. And they charged $825 for the t-shirt on their website. They didn't change the color of the t-shirt, black. They didn't change the font of the t-shirt. They didn't change the name, the printing on the t-shirt. It said free in the same font. Same writing, middle of the chest on a black tee. They sold for $825, and this was a $25 fundraiser for this gentleman who did that for his friend. And how simplistic it would have been to call this young man and say, hey, we want to put you on. We want to do that. Can we partner? How simply could they have done that? You mean to tell me they don't have anybody stateside? Because Balenciaga is not an American company. But you don't have nobody stateside, which is a lie. I'm sure you got a basis in New York, of all places, or if not, California, if not Florida. 3 major hubs. I was mortified because it made me think about what could have been with that logo, what could have been with other things that I've put out, what could have been had I not simply trademarked and done my due diligence. And I'm not saying the gentleman didn't do his due diligence. He just did that as a fundraiser for his friend. He didn't have any intentions of making this some grand selling t-shirt business. That wasn't his thought. But the fact that someone stole something as simplistic as that, a black t-shirt with the word free, it looked like it might have been 12 or 16 point font, sizing, middle of the chest, and all it said was free. You got Puffy Combs doing videos in the free t-shirt. You've got all kinds of celebrities. I'll probably put some of the different sightings of it. But lots of artists and people that can afford to spend $825 on a cotton t-shirt have had it on and have taken pictures in it. And it's really unnerving. So on the back end, this creative has hired Attorney Crump to represent him in all matters dealing with Balenciaga. Because of course Balenciaga is like, oh, we can partner. Oh, we can do this. Oh, we can do that. Now we can do things together after you've stolen from me. But if he decides, if you hear something crunching, that's Lady Zoe. She got herself a treat, so she real happy right about now. So it's not anything crackling over here. It's her chewing her treat. But it just unnerved me that they even thought that was okay. They thought that was okay. So I reached out to my attorney. This is my attorney. Yes, an attorney has to have an attorney in all different spaces, right? And so in this space, Keena don't know nothing about trademarks. I am a lawyer that practices a different area of law. This stuff might as well be written in hieroglyphics. It might as well be written. It might as well be written in some foreign language. I won't pick one. You can pick one and put them all together, and this is what it looks like to me. Like, what are you saying? And so this is her passion. This is her gift. And this is her area of expertise. And she does this professionally. And if you hire her or hire someone else, no shade, but I'm letting you know she is worth your coin. And if anybody knows me, knows that I spend my coins very wisely. I don't spend my coin where just because we're friends or we have 10, 20, 30 years of relationship. If you're here to do a service, then that's what I expect, right? But on the other end, as the service provider, she gonna have a list of things for you to do and for you to provide so that she can provide that service for you. So that is my intro. So I'm headed on over to Attorney Dempsey to introduce herself, her company, and we're just going to start with step one. But go ahead, Cynthia. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I know I talked a whole lot.
No, it was excellent. First, I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Keena, for inviting me to come on and to share. So I am Dr. Cynthia Dempsey. I am an attorney, and I am also in the spirit realm an apostle. And I'm sharing that with you because we are talking about his bride, intimate conversations. So that means that we have relationships. And the name of my company Intellectual Property Protections. What the Father has been talking to me about is he wants his kingdom to come in the earth realm. And for those of you who are out here, whatever sphere of influence you're in, whatever creativity that just as that water is pouring down into the bucket that's behind Dr. Keena, the Lord is causing a continual flow to flow into you. And he wants to see, how are you stewarding that? And then how are you going to protect what he's giving you? So my passion for this started when I was a young girl. As young ladies, there's cycles of life that we go through. And at that time, the design was, I just didn't understand. Why would it curve in instead of being providing as much coverage as possible? So I made my own design. I made my own kind of modification of a product, and then I designed it. I was young. I did not know about patent. I didn't know about trademark. And I promise you, if I could find the paper, the Always with Wings is the design that I designed. But I didn't know about patent, or trademark. Then I started learning about how many people, especially many African American people and people in brown coats, did not receive the protections that they should have received because their inventions, their works of art were stolen and someone else claimed the rights to it. So from that point, once I became an attorney, I said, you know what, Lord, I declare to you that I will be an intellectual, international representative for your kingdom all over the world. And so he has allowed me to do that. And if I can, I want to start kind of taking off from where we talked about the self-love. And this is what Father was talking to me about. First of all, he wants you to surrender to him. And he's asking you to serve and to seek him and to sit in his presence and allow the Spirit of the living God to give you new revelation on what it is that he has for you. Then the E, it's time to evaluate. You know, what do you have? This young man, the creative that Dr. Kina was talking about, when I listened to him talk, you know, his heart is like many creatives. He sees a need, he sees a way that his artistic, creative nature can fit and meet that need, and then he makes something. So his friend passed and he saw a need. He wanted to raise money to help the family. And even after exposing what the company has done, he still, when I listened to him talk, I was just saying, oh my goodness, so many creatives, God gives you something, ask him as you are sitting there evaluating, what is the purpose for which you gave this to me? Because he gives it to you for more than just the immediate need that you might have seen it for. Okay, because it grows. And so then examine what you have already in your treasure chest. What do you already have? Many creatives, you're writing things here, you're writing it there. You may be, if you're a teacher or an educator, you've probably created your own curriculums to fill in spaces, or you've made up your own handouts. And then you go back and you put it all together, all of your original works together. That's a book. Okay, so go and examine, what do you have? And then begin to explore the possibilities, the realms that you haven't considered in the past. Because Elohim wants to engage with you. The eternal, everlasting God wants to give you insight on blueprints and creative ideas that are still in the archives of heaven, so that he can bring it through you into the earth realm. So then have an ear to listen and learn, have a heart that's teachable. And we want to take that leap of faith. You were saying, so God has been talking to me about seize the moment. Do it now. Don't wait. Procrastination, no more. If God has given you something, step by step, we're going to do it. Okay. And then lay down some of the things you're going to have to lay down. Some of you are too busy working in other people's vineyards, and it's good. We want to do that. Yet there comes a point when he has entrusted something to you that he needs for you to birth forth. Now, what if Dr. Kina was, I mean, she does a lot. Now, we see her here, there, and everywhere, and she is very busy all around. However, I know that there are still things that she has said no to, because you can't do everything. For every yes, there are hundreds of things and opportunities that you're then saying no to. So in this season, if God has given you something, how many years has he been talking to you about it? How many years have you been saying, I'm going to? Now is the time. Okay. And then the F. Oh, first, he is the lover of your soul. He is the lover of your soul. That means that when fear tries to come to intimidate you, or you look out and you say, well, it's already there. Someone else is already doing it, but they're not doing it the way that God has given it to you. The lover of your soul is going to help you. Okay. And then fellowship with the Father. And then he'll send others to help fellowship with you. And then follow his instructions, because there's freedom in obedience. And you want to do it with frequency, because Father God has need of you. So I'm not sure if I will be able to see it, but I wanted to ask, who do we have in the room tonight? So do we have any creatives here? If you're a creative, can you just type that, creative? Okay. And then if you're an educator, how many educators? I mean, all you can, whether you are with the babies, all the way to professional development and anywhere in between. Put it in there if you're an educator. And then what about those of you who might be entrepreneurs, business owners? Put that in there for me. And some of you might say, well, I'm a performer. Put that in. And if I've left anything out, put that in there now. Okay. So, how can we protect our creative flow? First of all, as I shared, we are the kingdom people. That's what God wants us to do. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Lord, bring your kingdom into this earth realm. And then being in his presence, abiding in the presence of the Lord, protecting that time with him, that's going to help you to protect your creative flow. Recognize that the enemy's goal, he says, it's only three things he's going to do. He's going to come to kill, to steal, and to destroy. However, even if, like with this young man, even though the enemy has tried to steal that design, I don't know his relationship with the Lord, but I know the Lord for myself. There's more than enough. God will give you another, and he'll pour out even more. Yes, protect what you do have. But if you haven't protected it, and if you've done whatever you can to fight for it, and it seems as if you did not gain the victory in that battle, do not let that stop you from going forth. There's more than enough. God will give you something that's even better. I like to use an example of Steve Jobs and Apple. He is the one who came up with the idea and the concept of Apple back in the day when it was older, and they said, oh, those aren't real computers. He designed it, everything. He was the creative genius behind it. Then a board came on, they got the board. The board voted him off of his own company. That was a form of stealing away from him something that he had created. But he didn't let it stop him. He shifted and he went into another direction. And then you got Pixar. That opened up another whole genre of films. It brought in more employment. It caused a new movement in that area. See, he did not stop. Just because someone tried to stop and block him and steal away from him, it did not stop him. His creativity was continuing to flow. And I pray this is encouraging someone who maybe something has happened where you feel like someone stole something from you. Okay. And so after that, when the people in Apple saw that they were not prospering, they brought him back on. And now we have the I this, the I that under his leadership. So your gift is always going to make room for you. And when you are the authentic one, nothing and no one can stop that. All right. So that I want you to have the mindset of abundance. There is no lack in my Father's kingdom. So I don't care, even though I didn't get the patent for always, it's okay. God allowed that to do something else on the inside of me. And now I'm able to bless and encourage others and help to serve you so that you will protect what God has given you. Okay,
It's so funny when you talked about always, because I came up with that same idea. Look at how God gave it to her when she was probably much younger than me. When it came to me, I was in college, and I used to create the wings with either fabric or paper towel or something. But I used to create the wing in order to not have the extra flow. I'll call it that. We're gonna keep it PG, but I didn't know anything. I would not have known that that could have been something grand. And here we go. After I leave college, everybody got wings. The generics got wings. Always got wings. Everybody has wings. And I was like, that was my idea. I slept on it. Cynthia slept on it. Probably some other women slept on it too. So it is so important that when you have those ideas to move on them, stay prayerful. Time and seasons are important, but to move on them in a strategic way. And I like what you were talking about when you talked about Steve Jobs, of how many no's that did he have, right? And then he maneuvered a different route, and then where he began, they brought him back, probably for more coin than they wanted to, but they brought him back, and then he flourished even further in his gifting because he's had all those no's to fire it up. The best oil, that extra version comes from the extra pressing. And so the good oil comes further when you are pressed. What we're talking about today is not having to be in the press on things you can control right now where you sit. So you have that idea. So let's begin there. You have that idea. It's written down. You drew it out. You got color specs. You might even be good at measurements. Not my area, but you might even be good at measurements. You have an idea. And so I know what my step one was, but we're going to let the professional tell us what should be your step one. I have my idea. What should I do with that?
My number one recommendation is protect before you perform it. Protect it before you share it. There have been many people now, with technology, they go out, they sing a song, they have not copywritten it. And the next thing you know, someone else is out there with their phone just like this, recording you singing. And then you have unscrupulous people, where they will go and they'll file a copyright for it, and then it will belong to them. So a story of my daughter, one of my daughters, their school did not have a song, the school song. So the Lord gave it to her. She wrote the lyrics, and then she came up also with the musical composition, the main part of it. She worked with the director, and they put it together, the music. So I filed for them. She has the copyright in the lyrics, and they have a joint copyright for the music. After that was done, and then we sent in the audio, roughs. You don't have to have it professionally laid down when you're filing it for the copyright office all the time if you are in a rush to get it in. And so we did that, got it in, and now it's protected. And now the school is being sung. Then it was taught after that point. But that's what I find so frequently is people share it before they have done their proper protections. So that would be my number one recommendation for you. Okay, please. Unless it's something where you feel like God told you just to release it. And if that's what he told you, you release that and let it go. But if it's something, for instance, teachers, I am also a writer. And a lot of times when we're writing, we might share that with our class because you maybe came up with a curriculum and you're writing it as you go. My counsel to you, again, is you need to put your copyright protection on there. And as much as possible, send it in and let it get copywritten professionally, not professionally, but protected by the U.S. Copyright Office, because there are certain rights that you have that you can only receive if it is officially registered.
Yeah, so we put that in the check. Protect it before you perform it, and I put / release it. So essentially, before you share it with Poo Poo and Ray Ray and them, protect it. I tried to counsel someone one time on their music. I was even going to invest and pay for the studio time to have a professional engineer to lay it down on a track for them so they could have something professional. No, I got it. Next thing you know, we ride in the car, and what happens? We hear some beats. Those my beats. That's blank, 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 blank. I ain't gonna say no names, but that's blank, 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 blank. Those my beats. Really? So did you save it? Do you have it? No, see, we was jamming, and we was doing this and we was doing that. Okay, so now he has your beats. Now you don't have any recourse. But Kina, but there's no buts. There's no buts. How can you prove it was yours before it was theirs? You can't. And so how disappointing and disheartening for a young person who's really struggling and has that one little gift that he, and I don't mean little in a disparaging way, but has that one thing that he's really good at and makes him feel alive, to have that stolen from him. That's awful. That's an awful feeling. And so we want you to be protected. Yes, I see Attorney Demetrius Evans. She is of like kind with you, Attorney Dempsey. She's, I think, Demetrius, your trademark and patents, I think she's here in Chicago. Put that in there, Demetrius, what it is that you do as well, so that people can contact you as well. But one of the things here in Illinois, guess what? $5 $5 to copyright your stuff. $5 Are you kidding me? Don't tell me you can't give up a Starbucks coffee. Don't tell me you can't give up a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Don't tell me you can't give up a McDonald's breakfast to copyright a gift or something that you have that's important to you. Give it up. And $5. Download the form. It's right there on the Secretary of State's website. You can download the form. You can type in a PDF form. You can print out the form, fill it out by hand. Send it in with all the specimens that they might like a bookmark with your image on it, letterhead with your image on it. If you got a picture of a t-shirt, a flyer with your image on it. One thing that Dr. and I'm going to change her title several times, so just flow with me. Attorney Dempsey told me initially when we talked, and this was business, after we got the good girlfriend conversation out, then we went to business. She said, Kina, your logo is not on all your things. And I was like, what do you mean? They know it's Yahweh Beauty. Why I got to put it there? Because you want the logo on everything you do underneath that company, because then it serves as the protection. Am I right? It serves as the protection so that if anybody takes like this conversation, this programming right here, they can't say they didn't know it was under Yahweh Beauty Inc. Why? Because the logo is right there in the corner. So guess what Kina did? I ain't got time to argue. I got time to listen. So Kina on everything that's Yahweh Beauty Inc. on everything that's Pure Beauty Inc. It has the logo. It has the indicator right there. That's simple information. I didn't know. And I don't think I'm not so smart. I think I'm pretty smart, okay? But I didn't know that. That's something simple you can do. Something simple you can do. So those are step ones, okay? You can copyright here in Illinois. And if you need to save your coins to get to Attorney Dempsey for her to file those federal copyrights, then save your coins, save your coins and put it in a savings account or a jar or whatever, and do it. We spend money on everything that we want to do, everything that you like. Outfits and nails and hair and lashes, and I love all those things. Makeup, we spend money on everything. We need to start spending our money on things that matter. Matter, first of all, to the Father because He gave it to you. And then you're not being a good steward over it. So let's reverse this, reverse the curse. We're going to reverse this, and we're going to step out from today doing these simple steps, right? You're going to copyright here in Illinois, which only covers the state of Illinois. The reason why you need the federal, and I'll let Attorney Dempsey speak to this, the reason why you need the federal, because it covers every place, no matter where you are. So basically, if I stayed with my logo here in Illinois and didn't copyright it, guess what? Kina in Idaho or Felicia in California could have taken my logo and done some things in the state of California or the state of Washington, state of Florida. And I might have a little recourse, but not major. Why? Because I didn't what? Federally trademark. Can you speak to that, Cynthia, about the local versus the federal? Because I think that understanding definitely needs to be expressed.
Yes. So first, let me tell you that I would say there are three major protections that you can have. The first one is the copyright. And what I want you to think about with copyright, there are several categories, but I'm just going to name a few that fall under copyright. A book, photographs, movies, choreography, works of art, and there are several others. But if I'm talking to those of you who might be creatives in the sense of and music, songs, your lyrics, your compositions that you have, if you are an artist, your paintings, if you're a photographer, your photos, in that area, that's why it's also important to get your copyright before they are published, because there are certain forms now. For instance, if you are a photographer and you have not published any of your photographs, you can file up to 750 photos on one application. You're going to have to name them all out, but that's a blessing. That is going to be different, a different fee. So there are certain group registrations that you can do. So that's copyright in a very, very general overview. Now, trademark. I'm going to say a couple company names. And when I say their names, I want you to just, in your mind, see that company. McDonald's. What do you see?
Big Mac and the M.
The golden arches, right? The M. If I say Starbucks, what do you see?
We won't get spherical with it, but it's the mermaid.
Right. And the colors
green and white. Mm-hmm.
If I say Coca-Cola, What
What
colors
colors
come to
come to
mind?
mind?
Red and white with the curly C's.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And if I say Pepsi, what colors?
Colors.
Red, blue, and white, right?
That's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
And of course, one more, well, two more. Apple.
The half-eaten apple, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
then
then
Nike.
Swoosh.
The swoosh. Okay.
okay.
So those are marks. Those are colors. That comes from during common law time, where basically someone would have a mark and they would recognize that's been made by that Dr. Keena made that because it has that picture. I know that's hers. Or someone else made it. That's their mark. I know then I'll go to that location to get my goods or my services from them. And so if you think of it that way, a trademark is a mark that speaks for you out in public so that people will know it was created by you. All right, so that's very simple. You can register on state levels. Every state is different. The highest level of protection within the United States, however, is the federal trademark. And that is if you are, and right now, pretty much everyone with the internet, whether you have a land location business, brick and mortar, or if you're on the internet, I would highly recommend just going forward, making the investment to do federal trademark because you're able to reach people in your city, your state, your nation, and around the world. Okay, so that is the trademark, and it is an investment. That's a mindset shift. Another mindset shift is don't think that you can do everything yourself. But I'm going to hold that story till later. And I'm going to tell you about the third um, major protection, and that is patent. Now, patent is a very specialized area. I would highly recommend that if you have an invention, if you have some type of where you have, you know how they are doing a lot of the experimentation with vegetables and plants. If you have come up with a new form and a new way to do that, you may want a patent for that. You're going to need to seek out an extremely skilled and qualified patent attorney because there is a special patent bar. I do not do patent law, but I know that Dr. Keena mentioned there's someone on who does. And I would recommend that you go to the patent attorney because they're just like with every area, copyright, there's a form you have to complete, trademark, there are forms you have to complete, patent, there are several forms and diagrams and so many other things that you need to have. And so you want to go to someone who is qualified to represent you there. Please, I'm going to be like in the Bible. I beseech you. I beseech you, do not try to do some of these things yourself because many times it's the foundation. This is a foundation. You wouldn't just go out and try to build your, well, some of you might, but I don't think many people would just go out and try to build their own building, not having any knowledge or experience on how to excavate that, how to make sure everything is level, how to see what's under the ground. But you're just going to go out there and just start digging and you're just going to start trying to lay it out and you have no knowledge of it. You might, if you don't know the boundary lines, you might build your building on someone else's property and all of that will be wasted. And so that analogy is what I think about when I talk with people, and I can already tell the ones, and I'm not pressed about it because I know they have this, I can do it. And we do. We absolutely, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. However, there's safety in a multitude of counselors. If you do not have the expertise, and even if you do, get counsel to help you because we want to be godly stewards of what the Lord has given us. Okay.
And so on that note, we always have transparent conversation, and I don't use nobody else as an example. We gonna use me. So what happened was, now I told y'all that I let the trademark go, right? For many years. And then, the book happened and all that. Now it's on the back of books. It's on lots of things that I have been doing, but it wasn't federally covered. And so I thought in my brain, my legal brain and my regular brain, that I could just cut and paste. I mean, how simple is that? She's shaking her head because she had to fix it. I had to cut and paste. So I didn't have to, but this is what I did. So the previous application that was left, was let go of, right? The previous trademark that was let go was still listed. So I could pull that up. And I thought that when I reapplied, that I would just take the information from the previous application and apply it to the new application. That's what I had did. But let me tell you about the pickle that I put myself in. And this predates me hiring attorney Cynthia to help me fix my pickle. Was that my previous application said spiral book. Okay? Now, in layman's term, a spiral book, a bounded book, a book is a book. What difference does it make if it's spiral, if it's bounded, if it's pleated, if it's a brochure, if it's, put together with string, or it's sewn together or glued together? What difference does it make? It's a book. It's my book. It's my logo. This is my thought. That was where my frustration kept me, right? But what I learned was it makes a difference in the codes that the federal trademark has. Now, again, I told y'all they might as well put all the language together and expect me to read it. Hieroglyphics included, pictures included. Because obviously I missed that. Why did I miss that? Because this is not my area of expertise. And I'm sure if I sat down probably for 29,000 hours and read the trademark information as listed, I probably would have gained a better understanding. But it didn't make sense to me why I couldn't just cut and paste. I mean, you all agreed to trademark it before. So, in, 2010 or something, whatever, why can't in 2021, you can't do it again? Like, what's the big deal? So guess what? I had to hire attorney Cynthia. She gave me the guidelines of what I needed to do. Not only did she do that, she called the trademark office. So at the trademark office, you're assigned attorneys to look over your application. She even spoke to the trademark attorney who was not giving me any grace. None. Like no grace. It's like grace doesn't exist in the trademark office. She even spoke to the trademark attorney's supervisor on my behalf. This is where advocacy comes into play. It's just not paperwork. She does advocacy as well. She did her best talking. She did her best writing. She pleaded mercy, mercy, mercy for me, and nothing worked. So what I had to spend more money, right? More money to create the spiral book because my book had to now conform to what I had filed. Now you say, well, shoot. You shouldn't have did all that. You should just let the application go and just file a new one. Guess what? I had already paid my money. So, and I've already paid attorney Cynthia money. So, do I lose money or just let that trademark go and just proceed with it and then file a new one, which is what we did, and we're waiting on the finalization of that. It should be in its final stages now based on timeline. So, that's what I chose to do. Because what we're not going to do is spend some coins and give the federal government some coins and then let it go poof in the sky. Because listen, they don't give you a do-over. And you don't get to say, oop, I made a mistake. You don't get to do that. And they don't charge you extra for doing a do-over. You have to do a complete do-over. So if your application fee is $300 and you filed it wrong, guess what? You filed it wrong, and you're gonna have to pay another $300. And the first $300 is poof, like air. It's gone. So that's what I chose not to do, and I'm grateful to Attorney Cynthia's counsel, because that's what we chose to do. So now it's covered that way, and it's covered in all other ways as well. So I wanted to put that segue in there because she probably didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. That was a huge error. But had I waited, patience, had I waited and let God lead me to where he needed me to go, which was to my friend, then I wouldn't have lost out on about $300 that I didn't have to spend. But listen, you ain't got to teach me more than one lesson when you're talking about coins. So for the next step with Attorney Cynthia, we follow her lead to a T. It ain't never anything that she emails me or texts me, hey, I need blank, blank, blank. I'm dropping whatever I'm doing, and, and I'm sending it to her. I'm sending it to her so that she has everything that she needs to advocate for me, to work on my behalf, right? So go ahead and speak to you. I didn't put it out there, so now you can.
Thank you.
Now you can go ahead and talk about it.
Well, she gave the perfect case study of the importance of really seeking counsel, because and that also speaks to those of you who go on the internet of the internet university, and you pull down forms from other states, and you make up your own contracts. You start I'm jumping into another area, but that's another form of intellectual property that you're protecting, because you are pulling out parts from this contract and you thought this sounded good, but then maybe you're not familiar with the law of your specific state or whatever is required if it's a federal contract. So yes, Dr. Kina did file it, and language is important. And from when she filed originally, the system changed. And so initially her first trademark covered everything. And that's the importance of knowledge as well, because you might put one thing down and all of a sudden you had like, look at this map behind me. Maybe your trademark, as an analogy, was able to cover all of this space. But with one mistake, all of a sudden, all you cover is this right in between my hands. And you've narrowed it. Yet that's, there are certain regulations that's in place, and they are not going to change it. However, what I did was to preserve, there's certain language that I did put in, and I wrote in the notes to preserve, because there are things that you can do to still try to preserve so that someone won't say they had no knowledge of this pre-existing trademark. So it would be we would have a better opportunity to defend it, because there was a previous registered mark. Then in the one that was extremely narrowed, when, Dr. Kina put just the limited edition, once I was able to come in on her behalf, there is a way that I still outlined everything in there so that the person wouldn't be able to say they didn't have knowledge of it. Okay, so please seek out counsel. Come out of the poverty mindset, because it will, a lot of times it's going to cost you more. Not only financially, but emotionally. Some people would be ready to give up. Also, it could cost you business. What if someone else did get that logo and covered every other area? Oftentimes it can be first in line first in time. You can always fight it. Absolutely. Will you be victorious? No one can promise you that. And if you get an attorney who promises you a certain type of outcome, I would suggest that you don't go with that person unless they don't have integrity and they.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So, on that point, when you're seeking out counsel and wisdom, um, this is an area of law that they believe in the coin. Let me just say that. I contacted a few attorneys before I was led to hire Attorney Dempsey, and thousands of dollars they were asking me for up front. They hadn't seen, hadn't read, hadn't thought about what they were going to do for me. This was upfront coin. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a whole lot of coin. And not to say that it wasn't worth it, but I'm like, okay, God, if this is the route I'm supposed to go, then you're going to have to provide the provision, because I can't figure out how this is going to work for me. And then I was led to Dr. Cynthia Dempsey. Now, she has her fees, and respect her fees. Whatever fee she gives you, that's the fee you respect. I'm saying that to say, the higher the coin does not mean the better the quality of service. The lower the coin does not mean that you're going to get subpar service. It doesn't mean that at all. Especially when you're talking about this area of law. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that at all. Just like when people go to criminal court and like, I don't want no public defender. I don't want no public defender because, they paid by the government. I'm going to hire me a real lawyer. Okay. So you're going to hire a lawyer who knows nothing about that courtroom, knows nobody in the state's attorney's office, doesn't know the judge, doesn't know anybody in that courtroom, instead of being with a free lawyer that's paid by your taxes, who knows the layout and knows the temperament and the disposition of most of the people, if not all of the people that are working in the courtroom where your case is going to be heard. The value in having someone like that versus someone new coming in it's invaluable. It's invaluable. And so I say that to say, research your people. Before you write that check or send that Zelle or send that Cash App or send that PayPal or however you're going to courier pigeon or however you're going to pay this person, research and understand what you are paying for, so that when you have that discussion after you paid your coin, then you have real expectations of what you're going to receive, right? And so the reason why I asked Attorney Dempsey to come on is because I'm sharing one of my major resources with all of you all, because I know she's worth it, because I know the quality that she's going to provide you. Thirdly, she's going to come from a perspective that is kingdom based, and whether you believe in God, Jesus Christ, whatever, she's going to come from an integral place. Okay, integral place. Like, she's not going to take your coin and not deliver on the goods. And so I'm sharing that with you so that you understand that your research as a consumer is important as well. So don't sleep and think, I'm not telling you to hire her or hire Attorney Demetrius Evans, who's in this news in the feed right now. I'm not telling you to hire either one of them. But what I am saying is research. Whether you go with them or go with somebody else, do your research, do your homework before you sign. Because what I won't be partaking of is you having a lack of knowledge and understanding of how this thing really works. Okay? So I just want to put that segue in there, so that I just believe that people need to have some understanding and clarity, especially in the kingdom. Like, saints and regular people will steal your stuff. I don't know what to tell you. They will. They will steal your stuff and then say Jesus paid it all. No, I'm sorry. Jesus didn't make this payment right here that you're gonna pay. Yeah. Go ahead,
I
Attorney
just wanted
Smith.
to share a personal account. So I told you all that I am also an author. So I actually had a situation where a person bought my book, and it was one of my books that's for a workbook for children. And she came up to me just so happy. She said, "Oh, I have used your book. I take parts out of your book and I put it in with another book that I made for my students." I said, "Okay, well, we're going to have to, you're going to need to cease and desist that." And so I had to send her a letter to cease and desist because that is stealing. And that you just came up to me and told me that you are Xeroxing copies of my book and putting it in. And people, please, I had to share this because I have seen it done. You cannot take one chapter from one person's book, two chapters from another person's book, another chapter from someone else's book, and then put a cover on it and say that you wrote that book. You did not write that book. That is stealing, that's plagiarism, and that is theft. God can give you the creativity to write the book if you're supposed to write it on that subject. And if you're not, then you go and lay before the Lord and ask Him, what expression does He want to come forth out of you? That is stealing. Okay. I just had to say that. It is. Now, and choreography.
Yes.
We have maybe have some choreographers as well. There are some choreographers who say that they are creating work and they're putting it out there so that anyone can use it. That's also similar to how you have work that's put into the public domain. That means that you can go out there, you can utilize that work without having to pay for it or to get in give credit for it. Although I still think it's good if you know who created it and it's in the public domain, give credit to that person so someone can go maybe and research them and find out more about what other works they may have produced. Okay, so in choreography, don't just take someone else's choreography and place it on your ministry and have people thinking that you came up with it unless they told you that it was okay. And even then, you should alert them and let the people know this piece was given to whoever it was, and they've granted us the permission to minister it to you. Okay. Um, there's so many other things that I want to share, but another form of protection is a trade secret. That one is what it sounds like, trade secret. Coca-Cola's recipe, they keep it a secret. There are other companies, I'm sure you all have seen the Bush Beans commercials where that is kept a secret. Okay, so that is a form, but you're going to have to work hard to make sure that you keep your whatever it is a secret. And there are certain things you can put in place and processes that you can have as a business owner. Now, working with me, there are two ways that you can work with me. I say do it for you, although, as Dr. Keena said, there is a part that you're going to have to do. I can only advocate for you to the extent that you are forthcoming and honest and share the information that I need. If you don't like to share, if you don't want to provide the information, an attorney cannot represent you well because we can only go off of, yes, we're going to do our due diligence. I'm going to do my due diligence, but I'm going to receive from you. And this is especially if you want a trademark, you want to protect that, or your books that you may have written to, or whatever, your copyrights, or even with your patents, you're going to have to do the work as well. So done for you, I provide those services where I will work with you. I do an assessment. And that's one of the things that Dr. Keenan was talking about, where I looked at ways that she would be able to improve her trademark ability. Because there are certain things that the trademark examining attorneys at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office look at. And I just want to make sure that you present the very best possible. And with copyright, we look at that as well. We examine the work that you're wanting to submit and go through it. We talk about, okay, is all of this your original work? Did you all of this original? And if not, which parts are not? And then you need to let me know that so that we can make sure we're covered. Then I have what I'm doing is a 6-week course. It's called Focus on Fruition, the Accelerator. And some of you might say, well, you know what? I'm not ready. Now, Dr. Keena was ready for her trademark because she had it from 2007. She had been using it in commerce. She had it on flyers, on her books. She had her banners, all of those things. She was doing conversations. And so she was really ready to have that filed. And some of you might say, well, you know what? I'm not quite there yet. I think I need a little more counsel. I need some strategies. I need to get things in place. And so perhaps then you need to come to the Focus on Fruition Accelerator course. It is a cohort, and I give you the strategies, meet with you one-on-ones, and we talk specifically about what you need to do to bring your business, your concept, your idea to a place where you can obtain the maximum amount of fruition and intellectual property protections that are available. Because it really does go back to us being kingdom people. These ungodly companies are unashamedly putting their beliefs out there. They're using their business platforms to do it. We are the children of the Most High God. We represent the King of Glory. And how much more? What if your business is prospering and you're employing large numbers of people, and because you employ them, then they're able to get homes and they're able to live in communities. They're able to then begin to change that community because of you being there. You know how there are certain companies where they say that whole company is that town? What if we become, and I declare in Jesus' name that we as his kingdom people will become and are becoming those types of people where we're able to employ, we're able to shift entire regions because our companies, our businesses, our books, our music, our inventions are in those arenas. Okay. And so please view it as a stewardship of the gifts that God is giving to you. And wherever you are right now, I pray in the name, Lord Jesus Christ, that you will open yourself to him so he can talk to you about the more that he wants to pour into you, the expansion that he needs to come forth out of your soul, how you can protect the creativity that he has already given you and the new that's coming. So don't be afraid if you feel like, oh my goodness, I think I missed it. If you can take a breath in and breathe it out, you haven't missed it. There's another opportunity. So, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm typing in here. Step 2 is to take your course. To contact Attorney Cynthia to take the course. What is it called? You're on mute. Yeah.
Focus on fruition.
Focus on fruition. Okay.
And it's
the accelerator.
Yes. And take her course. Take her course so you can have concrete steps, concrete understandings of how things are supposed to go and how things are supposed to move forward. That's really important. So that's what I think I spelled it right. Hopefully I spelled it right. Is that how you spell fruition? Y'all don't mess with me if it's spelled wrong. Y'all don't fight me. Don't fight me. But so that would be a step two. I think also a step two is also gathering all of your little sheets of paper. You know, have that special one notebook. That one notebook. Go to Dollar Tree. Go to Family Dollar. Go to Walmart and get you one special notebook where you keep all your ideas in one succinct location. Don't be like me. I got several notebooks. I have several notebooks because there is different ideas that I have in each, and they all are separate. But have that special notebook where you can write down your ideas and keep your ideas safe. And you can go back to them and go over them and rework them. And maybe you dreamt of a different idea with it, and you'll be able to work with them, right? So I would definitely suggest that. I also would suggest keep it close to the cuff. Can you talk about that, Attorney Cynthia? Don't be telling everybody. Now, we have the prime example is Joseph in the Bible, who had these wonderful dreams. His brothers were very not so happy with him. They sold him. They attempted to kill him off, kill off his spirit, kill off his whole identity from their father, made their father so sick in his heart that he lost his son, which he believed, only for him to turn around and be a blessing to his family. But the point I want to make with that story is he talked too fast and too soon to the wrong people. Now you think, they're my family. That's my sister. That's my brother. Keep it close to the cuff. Go ahead, Attorney Cynthia. Talk about that.
Absolutely. And thank you. You shared some of the things in terms of order, putting things in order. But yes, my apostle, who has gone to be with the Lord, had a book called Stop Telling the Devil Your Business. So stop telling the enemy. Stop telling people your moves. Also, be mindful of where you talk. I have been in Starbucks or a coffee shop or just out in public, where people are just talking and sharing information. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, I know all of the details about this next venture that you're going to have because you're talking about it in a public space. So be mindful of that. Also, there are people who are they're listening. Maybe you say that you don't have that type of memory, but there are some people who have the memories where they can hear it one time and it is there. Also, if you're talking to others who may have the financial means, where you might at that moment not have all of the finances that you readily available to invest in a project, but there might be someone else who does, and they don't want to partner with you. And you all haven't talked about partnering, and they might go ahead with the vision and the ideas that you shared. So I absolutely agree. I would talk to the Lord very closely. So here are the two things or the next steps. I mentioned it earlier. Spend quiet time with the Lord. I want to encourage you to at least 15 minutes every day, specifically to hear from him regarding those ideas and concepts that he wants to share with you and the steps that he would have for you to steward. Then pray about, is there a team? Are there some intercessors? They don't have to know everything, but as you are birthing forth whatever it is that you are about to bring to fruition, you do need those to pray on the wall. Pray for favor so that your packet comes before someone that's favorable, that you get someone who's going to help you. I'm not saying they're going to break any rules or anything, but they're going to look favorably upon your applications and your documents that you have to submit for approvals so that you don't have to go through unnecessary actions. because I've had other cases with the trademark office where all they had to do was they talked with me, I responded, gave them what they needed, and they were able to do steps on their behalf. Whereas our situation was a little different. But, so prayer, it changes things. And then, just as Dr. Keena said, get organized. So gather all of your different ideas, get them in order. When I was growing up, I had a file cabinet, and I love my file cabinet. I know, I thought I was, because my father gave me a file cabinet, so I just knew I was the all everything. So I was had everything in order as a young girl, because I was like, yes. But now a lot of people do things on their computers. That's fine too, but create your files on your computer and have your notebooks. I have several notebooks as well. If you have, so this is one, and I have things that are color coordinated. So if there are certain topics that I'm dealing with, or if it's a certain project, I have my notebook, I have a folder, I have whatever it is that needs to go along with it, so I can grab those colors and know that, oh, that's that particular area. So get your things in order, take pictures. I also have, which right now it's not near me, but I have it in another bag. I got a small little, it's called, I think, Moleskin. My daughter told me about this one. It's a very small little notebook. It can fit in your purse, and it solves the problem of you grabbing scraps of paper here and there. And you may have to discipline yourself, because you might have the habit of just being scattered. So for the next couple of weeks, ask God to help you to become disciplined, to go to that same notebook to write in. Okay, for whatever it is, if it's one topic, then that's your, whatever that topic might be, write in that particular notebook. And then the other thing that will help you is if you put it down at the same place every time. So if you have again, it's the discipline of, I'm going to put this notebook in this area. This is my working space. This is at home. This is my space where I'm going to be creative. And I'm going to develop a habit of discipline so that after a while, I'm not going to have to think about it. I'm just going to be able to go right there and get it. And that's you in the long run. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've been typing as you've been talking. I've listed gathering all of your different ideas together and organizing them. Practice discipline. I've added that in this chat as well. These are things that are nuggets that seem really elementary, but they're not. You have to practice these things. And sometimes I get off, where I end up having like little sheets of paper, and then I have to find that sheet of paper. Where did I put that sheet of paper? That was a good idea. Where is it? Listen, send yourself a text message. Take a picture of something that inspired you, and then write under it. Write under the picture. Write it on the picture. You can go to your gallery in your phone after you've taken a picture. Go back and write something on it to remind you of what that meant at that particular moment, because I can guarantee you're going to forget it. And, hopefully, it'll be brought back to your remembrance, but sometimes it's a long time before it comes back. You're like, what was that idea? Even if I get, I haven't gotten many speaking engagements, but I have a book where I have all these ideas for speaking engagements and thoughts and point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when the time comes, guess what? I can go to my speaking engagement book, and I don't have to make up some stuff. I've already toiled and prayed over these subject matters and these things that I've written down already. And all I got to do is go back to my speaking engagement book, or to when I'm designing a banner for worship dance, for movement arts ministry. I have a book of banners that I see it in my head, and I wish there was a way of printing out what I see in my head, but there's not. So I have to sketch it out. And believe me, I cannot cut a straight line. I cannot. But I know people that have that gift. And ask God to really show you who's in your sphere. Shout out to Apostle H. Daniel Wilson, who just retired from being the senior pastor at being the full-time pastor at Valley Kingdom Ministries International here in Chicago, well, here in Oak Forest, Illinois. And he still, comes to mind in various preaching notes and mandates that he gave us. And one of them in particular was that God had spoke to him one time and told him everything that he needed was in the house. And he's like, what do you mean? It's not in my house, but it's in the house, meaning your sphere of influence is a house. Think of it that way. So everything that I've needed for this moment in season and time, God had already given me connections with those people. I already had a connection with Attorney Dempsey. I already had a connection with my tech support. I already had a connection with someone else. I already had these connections, and had I not sat down and realized who I was already connected to, I would have never been able to create the team that I have. So the team was created by him before I even knew I needed it. It was already created. But what? I needed to take that discipline, right? Spend some time and actually hear and actually see and write down, well, who do I know do flyers? Who do I know does trademark? Who do I know about all this technology stuff? Because this might as well be a foreign language to me too. Who do I know? Who do I know that knows how to do a new website? Who do I know? And I knew all these people at my fingertips, not people that I hadn't talked to in a long time, but people that I had genuine, authentic relationship with, who have helped me. Not free, but who have helped me. You hear what I'm saying? So I really implore you, as we've already said, I beseech you to sit prayerfully and understand what's in your house that you already have. And I remember that lesson from Apostle H. Daniel Wilson so much because I rehearse it in my head. When I need something, what's in my house? What's in this lovely phone? I got phone numbers, but what's in here? When I want my hair braided, I got a whole hair braiding section in my phone. Listen, you got to know. You got to keep your resources close to you. And it's no different with this. And so, oh my gosh, we're over 9 o'clock, and I know it's over 10 o'clock where Dr. Cynthia is, but so we're going to let her go with some parting words from her. But I think we gave them some great information that I haven't heard talked about, not unless you're going to pay somebody for it. And hey, this was free. You can share this. I pray that you do. Share it and share it and share it again. I pray that you contact Attorney Cynthia. I pray that you contact Demetrius, who's also in this stream, or that you contact somebody to help you, but someone integral. And I also pray that you are led to that person, because it's different than when you go versus when you're led. There's a difference. There definitely is a difference. And I'm not trying to be super spiritual. I'm not trying to convince you to be anything other than your genuine, authentic self, but I'm telling you, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And so I'll allow Apostle Cynthia. I told you I was going to change her titles 50 trillion times because she carries so many hats. But in this vein, she carries the hat of attorney for me and for many others that I've referred her to. because I get inboxes. Hey, Kina, what's that name of that lawyer you was talking about? The last time that she was on, when I shared with everyone the team. I can't remember which live that was, but go back in our YouTube archive and when I shared my team, and I think, was that for the anniversary? I think it was for the anniversary last July. So July of 2022 was when I shared my entire team. A couple of the team members wasn't able to be on, but I expressed to you who they were. But Cynthia came on that conversation as well. And I got like 2 or 3 people who wanted her information, and hopefully they made good, and she was able to help them. But you know, I'm just sharing this information because that really burned me about Balenciaga and the gentleman that they stole his idea, and they didn't have to. They just didn't have to. And it was just the unmitigated gall that you thought you could and get away with it. Because that's happened to our people so long. I mean, I think about the stories of the drink Jack Daniels. For those of you all who drink Jack Daniels did not create that liquor. That was created by a slave. And he took it because back then, white men were the only ones that could get a patent. White men were the only ones that could get copyrights and trademarks and things of that nature. They were the only ones, and so the slave could not. So for those of you all who drink that, think about the slave that created that formula. Think about that. So I'm going to leave. I mean, I could go on and on about the inventions that have been created by our people that were stolen and taken, and their legacies get no residuals, no royalties from that. But Attorney Cynthia, you can go ahead and have those words.
So once again, I just want to say thank you again, Dr. Kina, for allowing me to come and share. I really have been praying and asking the Lord, what did he want me to share with you? And I just want to impart again the importance of the name of my company is Kingdom Come Intellectual Property Protections. Because in this season, the Father is desiring that his kingdom come. It is a command. And you who are listening, it's not by mistake. So reflect upon what you have been entrusted with. How are you allowing his kingdom to come through you in your various spheres of influence? What is it that he wants you to create or that he's given you? And like that young man who sometimes we say, it's just a this, or it's not just. It opens the door for more. It's a starting place. It's a seed. And once that seed is planted, every seed bears more fruit than the initial seed that was planted. So whatever you're working on, have the expectation that it's going to grow. For example, if you started out where you were talking to some friends, and then this topic keeps reoccurring, and you say, wow, you know what? I'm going to write them a letter. And then the letter turns into a short story. And then it turns into a book. Then that book can become the basis of a class. It can become pull out where you do conversations. You can have a blog, you can have a vlog, you can have a show, you can have other products that come out of that. You can begin to do coaching and counseling, all out of the seed of a conversation. And then you say, well, what type of intellectual property protections will I need for the various areas? Okay, to protect it so that as that broadcast is going forth and it's hitting the airways and healing and deliverance is coming forth because you are allowing it to come out. What intellectual property protections do you need? The reason why we need it is then we become the ones who say how we will utilize this item, this product, this service, the proceeds of it, how we will then be able to invest it. We can invest it in the kingdom. We can sow it. We can cause there to be scholarships, whatever God places in your heart. But that's why there's more. It becomes legacy. If you don't own it, you can't direct its path. But once you have the full ownership rights and privileges and responsibilities, you also have the responsibility to defend. The young man, one thing that they were saying is he didn't necessarily address it immediately, actually, in his own words. If you see that someone is infringing on one of your rights, address it immediately. Immediately. It's not going to go away. You're going to have to confront. If you're a person who doesn't have a confrontational type of disposition, you definitely need someone, an attorney, a representative, to be able to confront that on your behalf so that that behavior can stop and change. Because otherwise, it will, after a point, it will be deemed as if you have granted them permission. And sometimes you can lose certain rights if you don't act within certain time frames, depending on what the situations are. So I just encourage you, please, there's a link down here. It is a bit.ly link, KCIP Protections Talk. It is case sensitive. Click that. If you want to talk so we can continue this conversation, and you say, you know what, I already have my logo. I feel like I know what I need to do, and I just want you to do it for me. Then put do it for me. Click that button. And then if you say, well, you know what, I might need a little bit more help, or I think I need some strategy. We need to work through this. I'm not quite ready or quite where I need to be. So I need you to do this with me. Then you're going to click that, do this with me, and I will get in contact with you and we will set up a time. And I'm just going to tell you, I love the Lord and I view my meetings with you as a direct representative of Him. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are the owners of this KCIP. They meet with me, and then I come and I meet with you. And if I am not able to provide you with the service that you need, I give you as much assistance as I can and point you in the direction of where you need to go. Because if God has given this to you, I want you to protect it to the very best of your ability so that when Father looks at you, He's going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been this. And I'm
Yes.
going to. So thank you.
Absolutely. No, thank you for those words of wisdom, words of knowledge. I think someone put in the chat like there needs to be a part two. There needs to be a part two, and maybe we do that later on in this year, maybe. But I implore you to take the nuggets that we gave. Those are some good nuggets. And that you do those baby steps. Protect yourself here. Well, I'm in Illinois, so protect yourself in that state or whatever state you're in. I'm sure you have a Secretary of State for your state. And look it up in the business department. It would be in the area of business. It should be listed as trademark copyrights department. Just to give you some search engine words when you're in the Secretary of State's website for whatever locale you're in. And I'm sure it's nominal. I'm sure you'll be shocked to at least protect it in that limited space, and then do both. And while you're doing that, then also talk with Dr. Cynthia, talk with an attorney, do a consult, and see what other things are available for your specific project, for your specific area. And so I implore you, beseech you, beg you, please, because what I don't want is someone to inbox me and say, I didn't take your advice, and you see that was mine. You see that That was mine. You see that? It's no point, and I'm going to last and say this. My mom has never owned a house. We've always lived in apartments. So that kind of was my scope. I never even thought about owning a house or property. I was in my young 20s and I had just moved back here. And I was thinking about buying a condo, right? Like, whoa. And I went to my landlord, who lived in one of these beautiful high-rise. He wasn't on the penthouse level, but he was right up under. His house was amazing, and he let me come to his house, and his condo was amazing. Like, the square footage was like something straight off a TV, with all these windows, and he had the view of the lakefront. It was just gorgeous. And I said, well, what do you think about buying a condo? And I'm just talking, young, young 20s. And he said, think about it this way. Do you want to pay my mortgage, or do you want to pay your own? And when you pay your own, do you want the tax write-off, or do you want me to get it? When I tell you, that put so many things in proper perspective for me. This is an older Caucasian gentleman who's schooling this young attorney, fresh on the bench, fresh in the courtroom, about buying property. And at its baseline, that's essentially it. Do I want the tax write-off, or do I want to continue to pay rent on property he owns so that he gets the tax write-off? Because you don't write off rent. And so I say the same here. Just like that vessel is behind me, that's why I chose that vessel behind me. And you see the water is pouring in and it's constantly flowing out. But the more it flows out, the more it flows in. The whole idea of that scripture, pressed down and shaken together, runneth over, in the scriptures, what that means is that when they press down the wheat, then they could put more in, and then they pressed it down some more, and then they could put more in, and they could press it down. So it never would be empty, even when you gave out some. Why? Because what was pressed down is coming up and it's overflowing. So what you have is so valuable to the earth realm that God would entrust it to you to pour it out. And just like that vessel, the more you pour out, the more God pours in. I've got so many things rolling around in this head of ideas that I want to do. I don't know when we're going to do them, but we're going to do them. And I have to pick, I have to be seasonal about when I do things. And so I put in the chat, don't announce your process. Announce your arrival. And let people wonder about your process. And let them pay you to learn about your process. But just announce your arrival. I'm not going to be announcing my processes anymore. You just see my arrival. And with that, we will close today. So thank you. Thank you, Apostle, doctor, attorney, mother, daughter, friend, wifey, boyfriend, girlfriend, sister, girlfriend, and all things in betwixt. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your wealth of wisdom with us. Yes, I used me as an example because who better than my crazy self? So thank you for those that view. Please share it with others so that they can grab hold of these nuggets, and maybe we'll do a part 2. We'll see what the future holds, but definitely this conversation is always fluid, always changing, always growing and having better understanding, and we'll continue to do so. So thank you again, Apostle Dempsey, Attorney Dempsey, and thank you, viewership, for coming. Please subscribe. Please share with your friends and subscribe to this channel. We're only going to give you authenticity. We're only going to give you honest communication. Okay? So we'll sign off for now. Oh, March, we're talking about sex trafficking and human trafficking. If you think it's not happening to you next door, we're going to talk about it because it's happening right in your backyard, eyes wide shut, right in front of you. and we're going to talk about it, especially in Chicago. It's hot here in Chicago, and it's getting on my last nerve. And so these are things that are pricking my spirit, so that's why we're putting it out here. So we're going to be talking about that in March. So that is March 28th. And I think we're going to start at 7 because I've got some wealthy, knowledgeable people who work in this field daily, not people who thought about it, who talk about it. No, people who are doing the work are going to come on and to the show and really help us understand. Okay, so see you next time. Appreciate you. Thank you again, and we're out.
Thank you.